And I want to welcome everybody to the month we're in, April meeting. Thank you. The Manhattan Community Board 1 Transportation and Street Activity Permit Committee. I'm Betty Kay, the chair of the committee, and I'm accompanied by Zach Bomber, who is the district manager. Jess will not be making tonight's meeting. So it's a very small group, and we are starting this meeting without quorum. So we will be switching the menu, that's the agenda around a little bit to accommodate that in case we do get one more person should show up. And then we'll deal with it that way. You go to the next one so you can see the rest, people can see. I want you to know the street design manual had to be canceled because there was a conflict for that presenter, leaving us with only the 2 items. And we're going to switch them around. So we'll start with the district budget and responses that we got from the DOT and others. Any questions from anybody related to that? Okay, I don't.
Nope.
Oh, do you want to move Marianne? It'll be easier for me to see if people are, she's listed with the committee, but I know she's not committee. So yes, since there are no hands up, let's move on to, if you want to progress it to district needs comments. And we'll go back to this in case we have a quorum later and vote on it. Okay, responses. This is cut out only what it is that we are dealing with, not the whole district. But some of the numbers will throw you off a bit because it's a bigger pool than we're dealing with tonight. Next, we'll take a look at them. These were the capital budget items that we dealt with. Remember passing these must be back in October. Okay, so let's go through and see them. I cut them out so you only have to look at them without scrolling. Oops, stop.
Sorry.
You go to the next one. We'll start with the first 2, items 1 and 2. Yes. First, the Brooklyn Bridge on-ramp, on-off ramp. You can see, what I want to hear from people is what follow-up that you want or what you'd like to do, and also to be informed, because if these things come up again next year, that could shape your opinion of them. So that's the only reason we're going through this. I want you to hear what's happening. Agency supports but cannot accommodate because this is a capital funding, so this is something we're aware of. This has not been funded yet. And we can keep working on it as they are going to work on it. The public bathroom request at 1 Center Street. Oh, when they talk about it alternatively, there is another pool of for those public APPs, like APC.
Accessible public toilets, so we're looking to cite a public restroom in CB1.
So it may not be at this location.
But it's not at that location.
Okay, I want to go to the next one, and there aren't 38 of these that are items for us to deal with. Okay.
You are leasing out those 2 spaces in the plaza out front.
I'm not familiar with that agreement, but I think the issue with the bathroom at 1 Center Street had to do with either Landmarks Preservation or the Public Design Commission had an objection. But I'm not familiar with the full history of the 1 Center Street bathroom.
Those two kiosks by the towards the Brooklyn Bridge side, I believe they're rehabbing those for lease.
Okay.
Those are DOT property. I guess separate issue a little bit.
It is, that's probably not the kind of installation they would do anyway. But I think as far as Eric and everyone else is concerned, I think this is going to be an ongoing issue in our district, is that if historic wants something that is strictly historic and most of the things coming to us for installation are not gonna meet the standard of historic without some kind of wrap or something else on them. This is to me an issue that we're gonna have to deal with more generally. But not for tonight. Next. Oh, yeah, just because this is related to it. And you probably saw this announcement, but the mayor announcing an upgrade to the Brooklyn Bridge Manhattan side. This is Center Street entry. And of course, you all recall passing this, as well as passing a second resolution for the capital improvements. But at least we're hearing that they are looking at installing soon this portion of it, which is not capital.
April.
I'm not holding my breath, but I did not include, well, in my slides, I didn't include this picture of the Deliverista Hub, which is also going in at this time.
It's already in.
Well, it's not usable. There's a structure there.
I'm sorry, Benny, you didn't include what? I didn't understand what you said. I
Yeah,
apologize.
when we get to the news, we'll talk about it later. It has nothing to do with this. It's just another change. Next. Duane Park Plaza. And so this one, they said should go to Parks. It did go to Parks, and there is a separate response to Duane Park and what's going to happen. So there is something going on with Parks. So it's not, this is nothing. And in fact, Carrie is well aware of this, and they have been working with Parks on this issue. Pearl Street between Maiden Lane and Platt Street. DOT again does not support, but has an alternative. Do you have any comments you can make? Do you happen to know about that? Because again, this is capital request.
So that generally wouldn't be a capital request, and that's why we like list it as like a do not support, because resurfacing is something we do as part of our, annual
Good to know.
like maintenance and expense budget. So I would just have to check if this block is on our resurfacing list for this year, or if it's on a future schedule, because it's generally, a street will become eligible for resurfacing, like after, I think it's 7 years. And then after that point, like we determine, the priority based on the condition. So I can check if Pearl Street, is in the hopper.
Betty,
Great.
I was there recently and, it was repaved. However, it doesn't address the problem of still having ponding of sewage. See, that's the problem, because there's an apartment building that places their garbage there, but it leaks and then it creates, putrid
Yeah.
pools of stuff, and it was repaved, but there's still ponding of
Yeah.
that. That's the problem.
Okay, that is helpful to know. Because then what we can do is work with DEP and see if there are any catch basin issues first, and then we can inspect to see if it's something with the curb or, the angle of the road. And depending on it, like, we might be able to do like a patch job to fix it, but if it's something more, serious, it may need capital work down the line, but we would be able to determine that. And like, once we make that determination, like add it to a list, that, hopefully to be addressed in the future.
Do you need a written request to do that, such as a call from Zach, something from Zach, or?
It's something I can just like make a note of and.
Perfect.
I've noticed when the DOT, when they mill it and then they put a new layer of asphalt, it gets a higher elevation. When they mill it, they never mill it.
Enough.
I don't think they mill it enough, and then the road gets a crown and it gets higher elevation. And then the manholes kind of look like they're sunken in, and other features in the street sometimes even get covered. So I think that's a contributing factor.
Good to know.
Mary Ann?
On the topic of repaving, there's a lot of
Only this
construction.
street.
Sorry?
Only
Only
this
this?
street.
All right, this is a more generic question, but I'll be quiet now. Thank you.
Well, I think it's gonna come up with some other streets, because this is not the only one.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
you'll have more chances. Otherwise, remind me at the end, we'll let you speak about the more general issue, if you like. Again, it's not gonna be with capital, because we've already been told that it isn't. So you'll hear about under expenses as well. The arches. Again, if you'd like to elaborate on the reason for not supporting, but having.
So I think for this one, like, again, we are looking to install, a public restroom in CB1 as part of, a larger initiative to install restrooms in community boards across the city. I think, the background on this ask is that, Gotham Park has a more specific request for the kind of bathroom infrastructure they'd like to see. And we're not able to support that at this time.
Well, I was gonna say, I know what they're looking for is actually 7.
Yeah.
Stalls within a trailer arrangement, and they have funding from soon to be leaving the state senate, Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
So I know part of their frustration is they even have the funding to get it and to install it. I guess the bigger question is, why is the DOT so opposed to them moving forward with that? Because they feel for capacity, a single APT just won't do the job for them.
Yeah, I think there are some general concerns about maintenance, and security as well. This is a new, space that's gonna be open to the public and a new plaza partner that we're excited to be working with, but I think we have to see, how things go first before making such a large commitment.
Okay, so if there's anything we can do to help support the fact that they will get security, because they have other things going on. Yeah.
It would be a trailer, but then they'd still need water line hookup, and then they need sewer.
That's what the money is for, from the state center.
Okay, so,
They have $750,000 to install it.
so that would be for this water supply and then the sewage removal. They'll be,
They're hooking it up as well as the electrical,
Oh,
so
well,
hook everything up.
okay, wow.
And evidently, they have a location where it's directly over where all the hookups are.
Oh, okay.
They've worked out they've called in consultants who've searched all those things with the utility companies. And worked with the state senator on that and got funding. It would just be too bad if he should leave the Senate and all that money disappear.
Mhm.
So that's part of their frustration. Yeah, I support. So anything that we can get, if there's anything CB1 can help do to support that in Gotham Park, or what it is you're looking for from them, because they are doing more and more things each year anyway. Staple Street cobblestones. Interim repairs, again, full restoration. Is the limitation here more because capital projects always take time and this hasn't been promoted? It still needs resolution or something to move forward? Or is it the general concern that the DOT is so backlogged to having only one team that?
It's more the latter, that we are only able to restore a limited number of cobblestone streets a year. So we have shared the list of streets, that CB1 and also CB2 has a few that are really an issue. Like we've shared that with the team, that, leads that work so that they can evaluate, the priority, neediness of each of them. So it's Staple Street's on our radar, but I don't have an update on the timeliness of it.
Okay, we will look at potentially another resolution just to make sure it doesn't disappear from the times, to show that CB1 is still interested in this, if we are. So you may see that on a future agenda, people. Go on to 7. I see no hands. BC Street, which is a whole other bag of worms right now anyway. And developing a proposal, but keep in mind, now that we know everything's up for World Trade 2 to be constructed along that stretch. Do you agree? It's very unrealistic during this period of construction, which is 5 years.
I would say that's accurate. I think we still have an interest in studying BZ Street for a shared street situation, with like the amenities that we previously discussed, but with the Port Authority work that's gonna be happening, it would be a while.
Yeah, to get a better sense of just how much, we're talking about 50 trucks a day coming in to that site, so there's gonna be a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll keep that up, but good to know. Beautifying the rotary. Oh, interesting, they should go to the Port Authority.
We also don't do beautification really. I mean, we have a DOT art program, but for something like this, it isn't really, we're more concerned with the traffic safety.
Right, and resiliency is not DOT's territory either, because I've heard that from the state as well as the city, that it just isn't a DOT sort of issue.
But the Rotary, who owns the land? Is that Portland?
Port Authority.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, targeting it, we can certainly look to see if that group is still interested in moving forward. That we move it not out of this process, but rather a resolution to Port Authority. Next, but again, I will coordinate with the people in the resiliency committee, because it is part and parcel of what their issues are, and Tribeca resiliency, which there isn't even really a plan, much of a plan for what they're gonna do with that stretch of our community. South End Avenue. I think I have an answer to this. Yeah, addressing to the Battery Park City Authority, especially since Justine is on and Marianne is also from Battery Park City. We've kind of all heard the same things at those committee meetings. And in fact, there is a street safety plan that is being implemented. They have been moving it forward. We were told it would be either last night's meeting, which it wasn't. So maybe it will be postponed by another month or two. But the Battery Park City Authority is working on a lot of street modifications, which makes it look like they're not looking to do this. They're going to do it a different way, do paint and other changes versus digging up the street, which was talked about in the past. So people know this does not mean a lot. There is activity going on. Canal Street, the Canal South plans. Don't take on Barnett Newman Triangle.
Sure. We're working with the Friends of Barnett Newman group, newly in the Plaza program. I think it's still early. It's a new plaza, or it's a new, group that we're working with. We're working out, a proposal for future upgrades to the space, but I think it's still pretty early. So we don't have, a capital project really to, advance right now.
Well, I know you mentioned, or we were discussing earlier before the cameras went on, about Canal Street and how that's gonna probably be delayed a little bit because activity can't occur during mid-June to mid-July, which is Girls' Cup time. They're not gonna take on projects, including Canal Street, to do any kind of work. So if that's pushed off, there'd also been discussions when talking about Canal Street, that the DOT would look at some of these adjunct projects, which included Canal South and many others. Will there be something coming forward with what those plans are, or is that also being put off for a while?
It's something we're still working on. So I mean, we can come to the community board, even if we're not able to implement something right away, like we're still gonna come to the community boards about Canal Street. We may not be able to implement it this summer though. But yeah, we're working on something for Barnett Newman.
Great, and in fact, for people who haven't been following it at all the meetings, it's come up. There have been a couple of different things, maybe Zach can remember them, where one was World Trade 2, and there was another project where they were asking for community benefits, and they got an agreement verbally that they would donate funds to Barnett Newman Triangle. So one was a couple $100,000, one was also a significant amount of money. So there are other things going on. Oh, anyway.
111 Leonard and 56 Leonard are
Those projects,
developments right near there. And
but also donating for our public benefit.
they signed a commitment letter to give money to the Triangle, $250,000.
Yes, I want people to realize there are things going on in the interim, so.
How recent was that?
Last month.
These are all last month.
Okay, good to know.
And it's contingent on the city, approving the project.
For Barnett Newman, I was looking on the maps and I checked that there's the Eighth Avenue subway line. It's either underneath it or immediately adjacent to it. So if they're opening up the street, I guess putting bioswales, do they need MTA approval when they get that close to the structure? Tunnel structure?
Yeah, they likely will, MTA will likely need to be consulted if that
Okay.
were to happen. There isn't a capital project planned yet, from DOT, so it will be.
I think this one though was more broad on Canal South, because at
Mhm.
one point you guys named like Church Street, Canal South.
We did,
So is that, and then I think sometime last fall, we were asking about when Canal South will get looked at. And I think the response at the time was after Canal proper gets done. Is that still the,
Timeframe?
yeah, the sequence?
I'll have to double check.
Thank you. See, we're moving forward. Next. Oh, and I think this is the last, because you can see we're now going to New York City Transit Authority. And this was the request that came from CB1 also about the bus stop in front of PS 270. And as you can see, the answer is no. Oh, we can check, but I know Tammy will be the one who is most interested in this anyway. It probably is definitely worth following up with the MTA for what the reason is. Which is what they say in their response.
Which agency that, was it the MTA?
Transit Authority.
Or wasn't DOT that said no? Okay,
Yeah, no. You can see up in the corner, upper right corner,
okay.
it'll say who the agency is. That's why I knew this is the last one, because we're away from DOT stuff. And next should be, oh. There is yet more, these are continuing. Support. CS means continuing support. These are ongoing things. Would you like to take on these related to PS 150? I was surprised that there was actually some activity here.
So for PS 150, we are finalizing the design for a crosswalk and traffic signal. It's not 100% signed and ready to go, so we're still working through it. And we should be able to provide an official update soon. We're also in contact with the school, about their school bus drop-off situation. And we think we have an alternative, for the school, that might be safer for the school bus drop-off. That doesn't involve, that wouldn't involve using Edgar Street necessarily.
Are they talking about Greenwich? Because I know that
Yeah.
was mentioned at one point, was using Greenwich.
So we're looking at Greenwich Street, as an option. And we're also discussing the possibility of putting planters on the sidewalk on Trinity to discourage illegal parking on the sidewalk.
That would be helpful. Well, good. I'm glad there's some movement on that one. And under the Brooklyn Bridge intersection improvements. Any idea about what the alternatives are?
I will have to check.
This,
Yeah,
I mean, this
That's the
is in
same case.
contradiction to the letter we got that said that we were working on it, that they would do it.
yeah, I'm realizing that as I read this. Yeah, allow me to get back to you on this one.
Great, look forward to hearing more, but it's nice to hear so much movement is occurring really on all the categories. It's a good start.
Moving the wrong way.
Oh, well, it'll make it clearer, but yeah, unfortunately. Now we're talking about expense items. And this will get back to, we're gonna kick off again, Mary Ann, with another paving issue. If you go on to the next one, the first one here, in this category, is paving. I know the answer to this one. And again, it's being directed back to the Battery Park City Authority, who has, I think twice, this keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And it's now been, no one can even recall how many decades it's been since this road was repaved. But it's in terrible condition and nobody has any record of when it was ever redone.
Okay. I mean, our records are that it's BPCA's and we reached out and told them that. I think maybe like 6 months ago, a year ago, and I don't recall them responding. So
I've heard feedback with them saying, no, of course it's DOT. And and the argument for that, which I'm a little unclear on, is the streets around me are all also haven't been signed over to the DOT from the BPCA. So they're very much like this street, Little West Street. But if you look at Murray Street, you look at Warren Street, you look at River Terrace, they are all technically still under the Battery Park City Authority. They have not been, and the BPCA admits they have not been turned over to the DOT. However, I also recall coming home one night from a meeting that was over at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and I was coming across, and there they'd torn my street up, and there were all these big trucks, and everything was chopped up, and I had no way to get to my building, and I had to go out among this chopped up tar that was all over the place. It was really, I had no idea it was coming. Nevertheless, it happened and it was repaved. So something was worked out about those streets because they're the same sort of mixed jurisdictional sort of streets. So if you want to look at those streets to see what happened, it was in the last 4 or 5 years, but I can't place when it was.
So what's the policy or the ownership? So, because you said Murray and Warren
River Terrace.
gets turned over, or does to the DOT, or does the Battery Park City Authority maintain its own roads when it comes to resurfacing and milling? Or who has jurisdiction? I mean, there's ownership, like it's confirmed that that's within the BPCA, but then do they have an agreement with the DOT to do the milling, the maintenance, or does BPCA always either do it themselves, however, contracting it out, or
Well, it would be, or pick up the bill.
or pick up the bill? Yes.
Which, and same with Little West Street is in that same group.
Yeah, my understanding and what has been like relayed to me is that it's BPCA's responsibility to maintain the street. I'm not aware of an existing memo of understanding between BPCA and DOT.
I haven't seen one.
You have or you haven't?
I have not. The most I saw, they finally uncovered for Little West Street, an old paperwork showing that the BPCA is the owner of that street. And it's an old document, but it's never been changed. It's never been.
Yeah, I mean, both agencies are continuing to point at each other, so
The road doesn't get done. Which
have
is why I'm
to,
pointing.
I think, move to a resolving party, and which usually is an elected official, so I think that's,
If you could look up the history of those other
I think it's
streets.
been gridlocked long enough, so
Oh, it's been a long time.
we'll have to raise it to that level.
Right, but Kate, if you would look up the history first for those other streets, like I said, it was when Governor's Island was looking at the climate center. Remember they announced where the competitors were for the climate center? Do you remember what year that was? I was coming home from that meeting when all the streets were torn. I mean, I remember from that meeting at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, and that was like, oh my, it took me forever to get to my building. But that was a year, if you can recall when it was,
Okay,
we need to do something. The
Eric's,
streets. So Eric, I'm gonna let you speak after, if you want Kate to start.
Oh,
This is your street. And you and Kate were talking about.
yeah, yes. About the, putting a traffic control device to cross Fulton Street at
Cliff.
Cliff, yes.
So it has, so we are going to study it in the spring so that it reflects the, higher level of pedestrian foot traffic, because in the past, this, intersection hasn't qualified for, a traffic signal, or control there.
Would you happen to know, a little bit related to this, maybe, some of the trucks that were causing the backup, the double parked ones around this intersection were Amazon trucks? Is there any chance that the hub would actually move some of those away from this location?
I'll confirm it should.
It'd be helpful if Amazon could be directed to do that. Get them away from Cliff Street on Fulton.
It should help with that, because we enter into an agreement with the company that they have to avoid using trucks within the radius of the micro hub.
Which this would be.
Yeah, which, and I can double check if this is like falls within, it should fall within the radius.
It should, it's only a few blocks
Yeah.
away.
But I can tell you that I've seen FedEx there, I mean, and also the supermarket uses a lot. NYPD, because they have some kind of hub there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, they use it, yeah, they actually see them park on the sidewalk, because there's no place for them to park their vehicles. Dunkin' Donuts, there's so many, and then with the Cliff Street, with that, Trinity Church development coming,
Yeah.
and the
That's
apartment
right.
building at the
It's
end
gonna be
of,
construct, all that construction.
yeah, it's getting busier, it's getting more used.
Yeah, that construction site's going to make a big impact on that area, especially while it's going on. Okay, glad to move forward with that, and any help you can give with that, knowing that you're gonna have a lot of obstacles that DOT can't control, such as construction and all the trucks that will be coming and going for that. Next. The finite pedestrian priority pilot. Is anything going on, or is that also to be done in the future? I get lots of requests about this. Has anything been done, a talk, or even a date being set to?
We got a very positive response.
It does, well, it did get a positive response.
Yeah, so we are currently developing proposals, for the pedestrian improvement plan, to come to CB1.
So it is in the process.
We're working on it, yeah.
Okay, but you have no idea what the targeted time is? Or if you could find out.
If I had to say, I would think we would probably start in the fall, coming to you with proposals, but I think it would be on a smaller scale to start and not as, large as what you may want to see. I think we're gonna start with like a few projects at a time.
Pilot and expand. Yeah, which seems to be the way DOT is going, and a lot of other groups too. Let's get some data, let's see how it's going, let people get used to it a bit, and then use that. 150 school zone traffic calming. We've already spoken about PS 150. Is there anything more to say about the traffic calming in addition to moving the bus stop and looking for a crosswalk and maybe putting in a traffic signal?
Nothing else to add at the moment.
I was gonna say, this sounds pretty
Yeah.
redundant of the other one.
It's very similar.
Okay, next. BC, we already talked about the BC Street redesign. Because of World Trade II, the shared street for Duane and Liberty.
So even though we don't support this as a capital project request, we've sent it to our, pedestrian unit to review like feasibility and see if maybe we can come up with a street improvement project there.
Yeah, because again, this was an expense request. Now, is that a problem? Should it have been a capital, or can something potentially be done with quick build?
No, I think that's fine. I think it's fine.
Okay, that's not a problem. I want to make sure there's anything we can fix.
So, Penny, how does this differ from the previous one about the funds from, the 500K from Margaret Chin about 5 years ago? Isn't this would be, but so this wouldn't fall within that pedestrian priority funding pilot, wouldn't that fall within this, wouldn't this project, Dwayne and Liberty, fall within that purview?
Well,
Isn't
not
that,
Dwayne, but Liberty between Greenwich and Church could. Dwayne Street is gonna be in Tribeca.
okay, yes, so
That's
the,
White Eye. So they're in two different locations.
okay, the one on Liberty, right, the one on Liberty would fall within that category, so that's the same, it would,
It may or may not be, because again, it's just talking about, there could be a series of, a cluster of small projects where you're right, Liberty could be one of the ones they end up coming for. Dwayne Street would still be separate. But if you're sending it forward to the pedestrian unit to look at, that could be what gives seed to some of the things that are gonna happen in the FIDI.
right, and 500K, I mean, I'm assuming that can just be like, one or two projects, just, or is that part of a whole, is that,
Turning that over to Zach.
or is that like a whole plan for the entire FIDI?
Sorry, what's the question specifically?
So at the time that Margaret Chin got the $500,000, the DOT was talking about a pedestrian priority area. There were no specifics beyond that. They said they were going through a pilot and they wouldn't say, they didn't come to the level, because Holly Trottenberg was still a DOT commission. I remember being in meetings with her about that. And her saying that, it could have been a sanitation project to deal with that, which of course is a different issue now than it would have been then. So it was going to be a very focused project. Nothing was very defined, so I doubt it would be easy to say, does this equalize what was Margaret Chin was thinking of at the time that she got that money? Because there wasn't anything very firm said back at that time by her or the DOT.
Because I thought that, I'm thinking that falls within the spirit of what it is. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And so I think that's what Kate's talking about. It could be multiple smaller projects. It may not be one big grand project for the whole neighborhood.
Because I'm thinking if it's 500, that amount, that would just be more for the design plan, not for the implementation.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out and see how these things. See what the pedestrian unit comes up with next. Move on to 7. Oh, historic street design guidelines. I think this is really going nowhere. So if you have any comments to make, I don't know if this doesn't have to just go to.
Yeah, I don't really have a comment.
I think
On this one, I know it's come up a lot of times. Yeah,
Well, we'll wait and keep asking, but if you have any comments about where they may be going, it is the whole general issue of what do we do with our cobblestone streets? So many of them are in poor repair, and what do we do?
so, has anyone been to Dumbo, like, recently? What they've done to their cobblestone streets are fantastic. It's smooth. They have even a bike lane within the cobblestones at the crosswalks. It's rather smooth. I'm just gonna say, I haven't tested it, that way, but do we need to have new guidelines, or is it just to enforce the guidelines? Because those guidelines that they have for Dumbo, I think they're exemplary, especially in application.
There were multiple issues when this came up. One of them was the likelihood of getting all that capital work done, because we have 10 historic districts in ours. And to get them constantly repaired was getting more remote, and there was concern they're still not resilient.
What do you mean by resilient?
The stone is actually one of the least porous elements there is on the planet. So for Tribeca and those that are concerned about absorption, the water, cobblestone streets are not the way to go. Second of all, even with Dumbo, they acknowledge they really don't meet ADA standards. There's more than 1/4 of an inch variation. Also, there's still the problem of doing repairs, which make the people who really love them and live on the blocks unhappy when somebody opens the street and things shift and there are problems. So there was concern at that time, including people who were architects who said, we need to look at permeable pavers and other things that give the historic look, but are different from Belgian blocks. That's what it was.
I'm familiar with masonry on my own time, but the interesting thing with, if you have permeable masonry, how will it withstand the freeze and thaw cycle? I mean, I don't know how they would do, you know, how they would overcome that, and,
Well, they were, because
Yeah.
Monterey Park City Authority is using them in their resiliency project. That's what brought, it was Gerald Fossberger, who was working on one of those projects professionally on his job, and was very intrigued by it and all the research that was done for that. And so he was seeing the possibilities and knew the places were trying out and risking it.
but for that project, that's not a roadway, that would be for pedestrians, right? I mean, because it's a different, you know, with the loads from vehicles, that's a different application.
It is different. There are also different sidewalks, because Battery Park City Authority uses vehicles that are not roadworthy. And so they ride on the sidewalks. So all of the trucks and things used in Battery Park City do ride on the sidewalks. But you're right, they're not school buses, they're not garbage trucks. They're not 18-wheelers and other things that come on the streets. Anyway, we know that it's kind of going nowhere at this point anyway.
I don't know how they did it in Brooklyn, but at least so far, what I've seen in our district is when there is a DDC project with
Greenwich
a,
Street now?
with a, you know, a ramp rebuild where they need to get the curb cut properly, ADA, then they do the cobblestone. So that's like been the most effective way of fixing the cobblestones.
They are making. some
Just by
recommendations, but
you
they
know,
have not-
adjacency.
They are not ADA consistent. As they said to me, I know they aren't, but you know, whoever yells the loudest is what the politicians want. That's what we do. So keep that in mind too. There is no real answer, I think is the answer to it all. But we can keep pushing that the cobblestones get redone. Greenwich Street is being done right now.
When we see the, maybe when we see
We can
the
push for Staple Street.
design manual,
Right,
we'll
when-
see,
I did ask about that as part of the things would he address those.
yeah.
things.
Okay,
Alley Street pedestrian safety. And yeah, if we can get any additional information, let us know if we should move forward, just to hear more about.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's very clearly, but I think there is some interest with what to do with those alley streets.
Yeah, I think if you have, I mean, Cliff Street, we're looking at Fulton for the pedestrian safety, but I think if there are other more specific concerns or questions about these blocks, that would be helpful for us to guide, you know, any inquiries.
Okay, it's like Liberty
This-
Place, I mean, there are a whole
Yeah,
bunch of them in our district that are like that.
this seems like it would fit into the
Pedestrian. Project,
the FIDI.
yeah. Because there are a lot of them there, although they're scattered around. So you see them like this. Next,
Mechanics Alley.
yeah, I say there are a lot of them around, more than I ever thought until I started looking for them. Gotham Park Plaza. Is anything being planned at this particular time for Gotham Park Plaza program you're aware of?
I'll have to check,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine, I was just asking, if you happen to know. Next, and we're interested in knowing if you hear anything. Open dining enforcement. And yes, there is a dedicated team is what they're saying. I think it's our burden on us to say what isn't being enforced or give some examples if there are problems. I want to alert everyone, you see a problem, have you reported something and not had a response to it? Because this, again, would have been written when this was very, very new. And so the team would not have been up and operating. We couldn't have had, this was not written based on complaints, things that we saw. I think it was rather things that were anticipated. And this was because it's happened to be recently. Gotham Park got a recognition from the Municipal Art Society recently. They got an award, and go next. It actually shows a picture of what they awarded. This was specifically what Moss was awarding and talking about Millwood. So to recognize our district, so people are familiar with what's going on. It is a beautiful space. Hudson Street, traffic enforcement. And this is NYPD, it's not DOT. And it is talking about trying to fill the vacancies. And I'll ask Jared as well, because there was something else that he mentioned that was going on, and it was related to DOT as well. I don't remember what it was.
Sure.
It had to do with traffic signals
Yeah.
or something, timing or something.
So we've met with, the Tribeca North Neighborhood Association now a few times about traffic safety concerns on Hudson Street. We have a, proposal we're working on for some pedestrian improvements, at the Erickson Street, intersection there to try to improve.
But right by the police station. That's on Erickson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Erickson and Hudson.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the corner of the police station, first precinct.
Yeah. So we're working on that, and then we're also, since we've most recently met with Jared and Tom, we're looking at signal timing on Hudson, feasibility of any red light cameras, relocating any of the signals, see if that would improve, like, compliance, so they're more visible, and some other requests. So we've also, we've reached out to NYPD about staffing, for traffic enforcement agents, so that's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, and I think we also, I know one of the other concerns from that group was to look at block the box legislation that is down in Albany. We'll have to follow up on that too, to see how that's moving forward, because I think wasn't, like, everything.
Yeah.
I want to say that Governor Hochul put it in the budget.
So I think there were talks, about including block the box, automated enforcement cameras, like maybe around the time of congestion pricing being started is what I remember. But that has not materialized.
No, but that's why there is pending legislation in
Yeah.
Albany. And it is about the camera enforcement. You're correct. I want to say, I'll have to go back to see, it may be part of the budget negotiations this year as well. So it is supported by the governor because it was on her part, not necessarily the legislators. So we'll follow up on that too. Good to hear the news. 9A bus route. So we're back to New York City Transit Authority. And again, we'll have to contact them to see what their objections are at this time, to see if there's anything we need to do other than the resolution asking for it. Are they redesigning at this time in Hatton? It was supposed to come next.
Right, yeah, right, but they haven't, I mean, I haven't heard of it. of
I
them
haven't either.
But, yeah, I think this one's a political support that would be needed, state electeds.
We're still doing this study, so
Who's doing the study?
the state. We're not in.
Oh, they're still doing, yeah, they're doing that. So you're saying if the bus route could come after that study, which there must be another 6 months to a year left on that one.
This wouldn't make so much sense, I remember when we went over it, either extending a route, because there is no bus route along.
Correct.
Not at all, okay.
Not down here, there is, and not along CB2. Somewhere in the CB2 territory, they start to get some bus service coming from north of them.
Okay.
CB4 does have bus service along it.
So if there's a state, a study by the state for 9A.
It's reconfiguring the.
Okay, so reconfiguring, but whatever they do, I mean, are they related? The the demand for the need for the bus? Or is it just they would say, oh, this is where we would have our bus stops? I'm trying to think what,
The only thing, I'm gonna let Zach speak first. What I have heard being on that committee is that one of the things they are looking at is the placement of bus stops. Because right now, evidently, according to Tammy, who's also on that committee that attends, she has said that they've been blocked with, there is no location to put them. And that's one of the MTA's arguments. However, there are bus stops for tour buses along Route 9A.
yeah, along 9A, some spots I see where it says no one can stand, but it looks like it's a indent, so a bus could be there, so, okay.
So it is a very mixed bag, and that is being looked at, and it has been brought up during those meetings with the New York State DOT,
Okay,
who are gonna be the design people.
because if they're making, if they want to wait until everything's perfect, I'm just concerned that it would take a long time. If they can just, put the bus route now on existing spaces for stops, that would be, yeah, okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
However, one of the things they're also looking at, it's been mentioned, who knows where it's going to go, is to maybe have a middle bus lane on the street. So it could be a really big redesign of Route 9A. And I don't know how much, I was gonna say, and I don't know how much the New York City Transit Authority would say, we want to see more firm plans before we do anything.
Oh, that's part of, that's being considered? Oh, no, that's speculation that they wouldn't have.
State DOT, it has been in the conversation, but certainly no decisions made about it.
Oh, wow.
So I don't
Okay.
know, we're talking about potentially
Okay.
large changes have been suggested, nothing beyond that.
Because if,
So I said at least another
Okay.
year, and then the state DOT will start coming forward with what they're gonna move forward into proposals or not.
because unlike the subway line that, you have to build the right of way already exists, and, installing bus stops are so much quicker, yeah, than, okay.
They're doing Ferry to LaGuardia, and we'll see what happens with that. Agents, there is no commitment. On the other hand, if you look at, they have now given a gambling license to the owner of the Mets. And he has been one of the big proponents that he wants a New York City ferry to come to where the Mets play and to go to LaGuardia Airport. So there is another outside person who is really pushing New York City ferry. Please have a route
Well,
that swings around.
I think that would be a wonderful idea. I mean,
And there's gonna be a soccer stadium
Yes,
there as well.
yes, I mean, especially to serve northeastern Queens, like Bayside, Flushing, if it can go along, Long Island and serves the City Field, the future soccer stadium.
Right.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
So I think there's more momentum building in favor of that. So hopefully that will be the thing that'll help push this forward. So those are the changes I know. Next, which should be the end. And those are kind of the last ones. Yeah, and to remind people, and we won't pick on you, Kate, for this one. This is the 2026 New York City DOT Streets Plan. If you look at the little map, you'll see that our district is the lowest priority for getting changes according to the streets plan. So they implement the bike lanes, the bus lanes, and all the other things that are included in streets plan. We're relatively low, we are the lowest priority. He's saying you have an uphill battle here, but CB3 will be more positive for you. CB2 is going to be with us. So I want people to be aware of that because they may not be aware this report has come out. Came out a while ago. So we still don't have quorum. Do you want to quickly just deal with the other one and there just won't be a resolution unless Tammy wants to take it into executive after it's vetted here? Let me go back to the first item. I don't want to skip it. Because it's a very simple, it would be a very, very simple resolution. And I know if it goes to executive, she likes to have it at least as much as possible laid out in advance. This is notification of a 15-mile-per-hour school street on Water Street between Beekman Street and Peck Slip. So it's one block. We go to the next one. As I said, we generally, you'll see it's a cobblestone street. It's a quiet street. So it's not, it's really active, busy street, if you're thinking other parts of Water Street. See it? Next, and yes, it was a letter just informing us it's going to happen. This is a public comment period. So we need to do that this month. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Go next. Yeah, just a little bit of this is actually from Chalkbeat. So sort of from, I wanted to get information coming out from sources people would see as well-rounded. Because I'm considered too biased to one group or another, so.
Sorry, I have to laugh.
This news came out, the same news came out from many different publications at the same time, because it was just a news announcement. Nevertheless, this is Chalk Beat. And the mayor has, we'll go back. The mayor has announced he's hoping that there'll be 800 schools by the end of the year. This is just one, so certainly there are a lot of others, not the only one. And so the DOT is identifying them. That doesn't mean we can't identify others. I'm going to leave that to, otherwise, just to youth and ed committee to get going on that with where they think they're missing and should be. But it is a change to 15 miles per hour, what is legally the 20 miles per hour in our whole district anyway. And it still includes, you have to be at least 11 miles per hour over the speed limit before you can be considered speeding. So 26 miles per hour would be the minimum before you can be considered speeding, even if the police were enforcing. Or there was a camera or something else. Okay? I don't know what else to tell you as background. I tried to see what could be it. I want to hear a first discussion, but this is straightforward. Do you support it? Do you not support it? And this is just, would be a straw poll. We do not have quorum. But if there's any advice we could pass on, and Justine, you'll get to speak. But if we could pass on, in case Tammy chooses to take it to another committee. Yeah, Justine, if you'd like to speak.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. This is by the school. It's for the school. People are going to be going kind of slowly anyway on the cobblestones, which you pointed out, which was helpful to see that. So yeah, I think we should, it's a good resolution. I think we should support it. That's my opinion.
Well, the resolution would be really, really short. One, the announcement that they're going to release 800 of them by the end of the year. Two, it is a reduction to 15 miles per hour. And that kind of, and at this, where this block is, it's only a block long. That's kind of the whole thing. And then either we support it or we don't support it.
Maybe
That's a
make
very
sure
straightforward.
maybe we make sure it also states, which maybe you're going to do, that it's by a school, just so people clearly have that in their heads. But it is, that's what the whole
Oh, the
point
name
is.
of the school is given.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this one is, I actually think the speed limit, what people travel, just as when I walk by, I think it's pretty close to 15 already. I mean, if it's going to be in front of a school, I mean, I think that makes sense. My question is, why isn't the Department of Education also doing Peck Slip and the other streets? You know, I'm surprised they just announced just this one, or are they required to only do it one at a time?
Done. It is. Well, they're an open street. I was gonna say, they're different because they're an open street that's closed to traffic. So there's no point to lowering.
It is open. I've driven on it. It's open.
Well,
Yeah.
during school hours, though, they have the right to close them.
Yes, during school days and school hours, it's closed. So then,
That kind of de facto solves this issue for that particular.
so then is this 15 miles per hour only, you know, for this being considered here only for school days and school hours, or is it 24/7?
24/7.
It's 24, that's why I said it's different. And that's what I wanted to point out to people too. That doesn't mean this school or any other school couldn't ask for an open street. I don't control that, and that's different. But it is different, and I don't want people to confuse the two.
Okay, so then why would this one be 24/7, but the one where we have Peck Slip, school on Peck Slip, a larger school not be 24/7 also?
You're saying it's not marked 15 miles?
Correct, it is not.
We're still identifying locations where we can roll this out. There are already a handful of schools in CP3 where we've done this treatment. So that's not to say like X-Slip won't be included in the future. Like we might still be doing that one. I'm not certain what the status is in it.
Well, yeah, like I said, I full board, no matter who this passes, who this goes by. I will bring it up, that youth and ed, please take up this issue, because I know they're concerned about a lot of schools. It should be their purview to identify schools in our district who they think should get attention from the DOT to be considered.
Now, I see the reason they're doing this is because there will be a charter school there. Now, if the charter school relocates, then this 15 miles per hour will be rescinded?
We'd probably revisit it, just because the 15-mile-per-hour regulation is tied specifically to schools.
And so if anybody notices anything, a school where you think it should be slowed to 15 miles per hour and it's not, a school where the school has disappeared and it's 15 miles per hour and you think the signage should be removed because the conditions have changed, by all means, give us that information and we'll pass it on to youth and ed, or go directly to the chair of youth and ed. And they'll still come back to us because it'll have to go to the DOT anyway, which is why I said, I don't want to take over their job, but it could be more expedient if you CC us, youth and ed, and the chair of this committee. Because it ultimately it's going to the DOT to straighten it out. And they don't know about every school closing or moving, correct?
Not
I was
always.
just saying,
I mean,
I don't.
we're notified of new schools usually, and our school safety team will, take a look at them as they open.
Yeah, so no, thank you, and we will pay attention to that one. Can I take a straw poll? Is there anyone that's opposed? Is Sante still on? No,
I think he put in the chat, he had to hop off.
okay.
But,
Marianne, do
yeah.
you have a comment? Only because we're trying to get opinions.
If I were other than a member of the public here today, I would support this. I mean, I'd vote for it. And as a member of the public, I support it.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for opinions, just to get a wider base of
Yeah,
people.
right.
Any of the attendees are, if any of them happen to live in our district, may have an opinion. Otherwise, we'll leave it with at least 4 people. Well, yeah, I'd say if people from the other people have an opinion and want to raise their hand to speak. Okay, well, we'll move on from that. And do you want me to write to Tammy and let her know, or are you gonna deal with her? Because I know you have regular meetings with the chair of CB1 anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this. Straw poll.
Okay, this was another one. If you go back, this was a letter that you brought up to me. In fact, I gave you the letter. You want to just mention what this is? You want to address this other street, this other school? No. Yeah, this street, the school.
So. Automated enforcement camera, we asked for cameras.
Okay, that's good.
Only. And so they put in a, mobile enforcement camera.
And again, this is Tribeca Community School, so we're talking about a school. But in fact, DOT is looking at a larger stretch than just the block with the school, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you live from Hudson, not just Hudson and Greenwich, but all the way to West Street. Just so people know this is a busier street. I'll be interested in hearing what happens from that study. After it's done.
Recently, a couple accidents up there too. Only,
Yeah, I say that area is, anyway, if you go to the pictures now, you can do the Google Map pictures, so people get a better sense of what this stretch looks like.
pedestrian injuries.
Yeah, Tribeca has been having its share of collisions.
So,
You go to the next one? I took a couple of pictures from different ends of the street. Look at Lake Street from here, so you can see you want to see what the road conditions look like. And the traffic. We go to the other side. So from Hudson, go over to Greenwich, you can see where traffic can get more clustered and moving. It's very different from the other school street they spoke about. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, how fast are these vehicles actually traveling or not. There's also much bigger vehicles as well, that are likely to be on Water Street. Okay, next. Yeah, again, this is the general announcement of it. And there was also some debate going on with, should city council be acting to actually have a bill or not to implement it, or is the mayor free to implement Stanley's law as he wants on the streets of New York City? And I just want to make sure people realize they don't see it as particularly clear who should how they should proceed. The mayor unilaterally making decisions, or city council passing a bill for which city streets should be affected by Stanley's law. But the mayor has decided about the 800 public school. Find out if there are more.
So,
Yeah, you can go on beyond this. And we can skip the rest. You don't have to hear the updates, so it's, kind of funny. There's so much going on. Yeah, Lafayette Street. I'm glad to hear there's some work being done on those bike lanes, which is a continuation of one that's in our district, but to help people get to and from our district. But yes, it is not in our district. It leads to when we have our own. Go down the next one. It's weird surveys. The super speeders bill, which we also had a resolution, and I only put this in because I found it kind of quirky. I don't know if the very high incidence of super speeders getting noticed is down in South Battery Park City and around South Fidei. Or is it because we're part of a district that is with Staten Island and the numbers are actually coming from Staten Island? I don't know. And that's why I have to find out what it is.
Also,
Governor's Island.
yeah, Governor's Island shouldn't be in there.
Well, they always,
That's about speeders.
whenever they use maps of the community boards, they always include that, and so they're there, but yeah, no, it's crazy. You'll see Statue of Liberty Island and Ellis Island are on there too, and obviously I'm. But yeah, it looks bad for this thing. So yeah, the Senate is pushing it forward. Has already passed it. The Assembly has not passed it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Maybe this is what the governor had in her budget. Next. Spring plantings are starting to be out. Plaza's an open street, so the DOT is moving on that. The congestion pricing lawsuit was tossed by the truckers. That claimed that there shouldn't be, it was biased against them. Anyway, there have also been a couple of reports that have come out about trucking in the congestion zone with congestion pricing. And this is kind of interesting, but also I don't think says a whole lot. But there have been some changes in patterns, and two reports came out, one from the MTA and one from a data collection company. So next, let's see what they said, I think. And Geotab was the name of the firm that does telematics. And they found that the operators are getting more efficient with their traveling, with the averaging 15% to offset the cost of renewing the zone. They're not avoiding the zone, but they're changing how they do business within the zone by adding more stops. In other words, filling their trucks more rather than bringing a whole bunch of different trucks in. So we'll see. Next. But again, they're reporting some changes, but there's a little bit of conflict with the MTA data. Next.
Then again, what are these kids gonna do when they do get out of it, finish?
Yeah, I don't think it's a whole lot, but for those who want to see it, check this out and read it yourself. This one also is not that interesting. Well, I mean, it is interesting, but not necessarily to all people. Oh, yeah, again, it looks to be more places are looking at how to fund roads. So congestion pricing is just one of many different ways. It could be appearing in different parts.
I can watch.
And vehicle mile travel is the big thing. The MTA, again, you're probably aware of fare gates changing. Next. Oh, and Borough President asking to get more cell phone service by Verizon and T-Mobile within the subway system, where it's set up for them to work, not everywhere. It's pretty progress. Next. Let's see what happens. Yeah, more people are taking the subway, which is good news. It's moving in the right direction. Back to pre-COVID numbers.
Lovely tonight.
And the MTA has rolled out a new app with new features. So for those, I read two different reports. One said if you have the MTA app, it will automatically update when the next version comes out. Others have said, no, you have to dump yours and then re-enter the new version 4. I think it's version 4. Check to see if you notice it. But there is another group that came forward and said, you know what, we don't get enough information about subways. And for those of us, this is a wheelchair user, and I'm hoping they will come to a future meeting. They have agreed, so we'll get to hear from them in the future. But I'm just going to mention what it is because Susan thanked me for finding out about it since she's out there looking for elevators. And Justine, you may be looking for elevators yourself. Next.
Exactly, thank you.
I was gonna say, this is, if you look at this, and it is not an app, it is actually a website, but it shows up on your phone as if it was an app. So it's very usable on your phone.
No.
And as you can see what it is, it's transitaccess.com, I think, .org. That's what it's called. But if you look at the next one, they have integrated, they'll come up a map like this, and this is what you go to, transitaccess.org, and you'll get this picture. You click on the various things that look like they're accessible, it will direct you to which of the openings for that station is actually the one with the elevator, which is very helpful. You go to the next one, I think I took a picture of it. Yeah, this is what you'll see when you click on it. It'll show you which one is the one you should go to, and there will be a picture, so you can click on it, and it'll show you exactly what the entrance looks like, so you know what you're looking for, which intersection, and it will tell you, as you can see here, the elevator is in service. It is linked to the MTA information. So if it is out of service, it will say out of service. So you can check it in advance before you take yourself all the way over there. And hopefully by having a presentation, we can find out why the MTA is not incorporating that kind of information.
I love you both so very much. And I'm gonna see
But the
you
MTA is talking about improving bus lift training there, because that's another obstacle for people getting to use buses. People say, well, I don't know how to use bus lift. I don't know how to use the wheelchair. Next.
It's you.
Oh, yes, the Federal Transit Administration is going to give New York City $100.3 million to improve transportation because of FIFA. Yes, we don't know where it's going to, how it's going to be utilized, but it's always good, and it may be spent more on the charter buses and Amtrak service and other things during that period. We'll find out, because at least a lot of money was allocated to New York City. You can uncover what it's for. Next. I'll have to wait and find out. Oh, and I happened to find out when I was on the tour of Kate's aware of it. There was a tour of the DOT and the Port Authority land. And one of the complaints there that came up, it was all people with disabilities that came, and their complaint was if you look at the configuration in the lower left, we can see it being all around the corner, which is very generous, but it's still at the apex. There were a bunch of people that said, no, this is illegal, and they were going to be reporting this to the authorities because they thought this was offensive, because it did not go to the crosswalks, which is because where the DOT puts the crosswalks was very true. However, here it is from the U.S. Access Board, which makes all the decisions about the Architectural Barriers Act, as well as the Americans with Disabilities Act. And they're showing 4 variations that are acceptable under those particular laws. But you'll notice the way they configure the crosswalks. That's what differs from what the New York City DOT does. And would address the complaints of the people with disabilities, saying, and I do that too. When I come off such as on Chambers Street, people think I'm crossing Chambers Street when I'm really trying to cross Broadway. But this kind of configuration would solve that problem, would tell the drivers out there that you're still in a crosswalk. You're not trying to cut them off. But anyway, that's information. Next. Yeah, and the Access Board had more things about clear areas. So for those, I brought it up last night at Battery Park City Authority. The Access Board is a real thing, and you can get information there. Next, that's the only reason this is here. Yes, and you can get technical assistance or other things by going there. But when you get claimed, the Battery Park City Committee, the person from the ambassadors was saying they get threatened by people saying the service dogs, they're going to be reported because they're not following the ADA. This is where they'd be claimed. Anyway. Yeah, this is the one house budget, and there are things that are transportation related that are in Governor Hochul's executive budget that is still being debated at this particular time. Next. And maybe I have there what it is. Yeah, some of the things that are in there include the free bus pilot. It includes automated camera enforcement for blocking the box. So it is in the executive budget. And I haven't seen any word that's been taken out. Next. So we'll have to follow that up. And there is a guy who's created a Light My Crosswalk. This is very clever. So when it only shines down on the crosswalks. And when the little walk signal goes on, it lights up the crosswalk and the curb cuts. Specifically, you can see how low the level is. Because doesn't want to shine everywhere, but you look at how dark and shadowed it is when you're trying to walk at night. This is very interesting. And there has been a lot of show from a lot of DOTs around the country for this particular invention. Next. And yeah, I'd appreciate some follow-up too. Summer Streets program is still evolving. So we'll hear what the DOT responds to our politicians about what Summer Streets, when that is finalized. Next. We'll wait for Kate to tell us. You can see this is last year's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we've heard that they are looking. We'll have to wait. Before I'll go quickly through this, just to show you this is a real topic. There are in fact seminars about this, international seminars. For those who think managing the curb is a small local issue, it's not. Yeah, I'm looking at the last mile. So a lot of things that we're seeing in this committee are in discussion nationally and even internationally. So next is a lot of information out there, including things in the air, the drones and the eVTOLs. They deal with all kinds of mobility, and New York City, and our district is kind of at the cutting edge in many different areas. So as you see, some of these have been going to the executive committee, but yes, they're getting federal approval to move forward. We're going to see more going on with drones and eVTOLs. Next. So now we're down at Pier 6. Yeah, and there are a lot of partners there. Next. And you can move on. The FAA is the one that's moving forward with allowing them as pilot projects before formal approval comes through. But they're expecting these by mid-July, the latest. And I bet they go for World Cup. They're going to be allowing eVTOLs and others to legally fly. It'll be quite something to see. It's crunch time for a lot of these things. And in fact, this says the various companies that are partnering on these things, like Joby and those, have been told to be ready by mid-June to go into service with the eVTOLs, with their eVTOLs. So we'll have to keep an eye out for what goes on. Yeah, see, get ready to go within 90 days, and this was back when this was done. So get ready. Then the question we talk about, the automated vehicles, there is another question with, what do you call a vehicle, a device that has no steering wheel and has no brakes? Is it a car or is it another robot? So for those who are looking at Zox and others, they're questioning, should they even be with autonomous vehicles or should they be their own category? Will the feds make it so they're slipping around the corners because they're not technically automated vehicles? Find out. Oh, Amazon, again, they're not allowed to idle at the mobility, at the hub, and people can report that. Next, we don't need them accruing more fines. As I said, they are expanding. Next, with more things that they're doing in our district. Then, as I mentioned these at full board, so you can skip that one too. We'll see more, but there's a huge shift. The United States Parcel Service is changing. They plan to reduce by 2/3. That's quite something, since they're the largest parcel carrier in the country. And there is concern that Donald Trump, as president, will privatize US Postal Service, and it looks like Amazon may be in the front looking at it, because they are putting in distribution centers in rural areas where these more remote post office stations are. Next, so we'll see. Meanwhile, FedEx is also changing. FedEx now has same-day local delivery. So they are kind of moving into some of Amazon territory. Keep in mind, there was an article done by Bloomberg, which kind of reminded me about something I should have known about. Amazon and the United Postal Service Amazon and Walmart are really retailers. They do logistics and delivery, but they are really retailers. That's where they make their money, and they are cutting costs on freight delivery. That's not their market. On the other hand, FedEx, United Postal Service, United Parcel Service, their business, the way they make their money is through freight movement, and hence cutting costs is problematic for them. And hence, you're going to see some conflicts with how they do things in the delivery world. Not a surprise. But FedEx is moving into same-day delivery. At the same time, UPS is getting rid of the Amazon business. They want to get rid of some of this quick delivery. It is greatly reducing the amount of work that they have, because something like 1/3 of their volume was Amazon, was UPS. Next, as you can see, in January, so in the past, they cut 30,000 jobs because they're no longer doing those Amazon deliveries. This is just back to Zox. The question of, is it really an AV unit or not? And congestion, where they haven't gone to congestion pricing. Look at what LA is doing. This has been their fire department. Well, if you go to the next one, a little bit of explanation about it. I just saw this today. But in fact, this is spoken by the LAPD chief. So it is legitimate. I thought it was kind of a joke at first. But nevertheless, the money came from Google and YouTube to buy these devices for the fire department. They are adding 30 these electric motorcycles to navigate the crowded streets to deal with wildfires and search and rescue missions. Interesting. This is merely to ask if anyone else got this reference, because I didn't get it. Guess no one else did either. Anyway,
It up.
I haven't seen,
I've never seen Funny Girl.
I have seen it, and
And I thank people for listening tonight, because we're all still alive.
I think there's a ceasefire,
I don't think so.
so.
There was a request, but anyway. Since I showed you all these pictures of it in the ice, you get to see it in the fog. It's more seasonal. So be tolerant of April showers, they're gonna bring the Mayflowers.
Yay.
Yay, is right. So thank you, and we'll see what we can do about that resolution. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.